And now, the general weather around Alaska.
First up here, I have a graphic here for the winter solstice, which begins tonight at 12:21 a.m. And that marks the shortest day of the year, which also marks the beginning of winter for the Northern Hemisphere and the beginning of summer down south of the equator, Australia, Brazil, Argentina, and those areas. Again, at just after midnight tonight. And for the hazardous weather, we've got high wind warnings out for St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast here, up to Shishmaref, and also from Point Hope to Cape Lisburne on up to Point Lay for north to northeast winds, gusting to 75 miles an hour, kicking in tonight and continuing through the weekend. Winter weather advisory here for snow and blowing snow, Kotzebue up into the Noatak Valley area, and also in the central interior. And down to the south here, winter weather advisories tonight and tomorrow here for Bristol Bay and the Kuskokwim Delta area for several inches of snow, mostly from Dillingham here northward across the Delta. And from there, going to satellite imagery. Pretty good day here, rather quiet across much of interior Alaska from the Arctic coast right on down to the North Gulf Coast. Bands of mid and high level clouds here shifting northward up over the southern interior areas with the rain clouds here still down to the south ahead of the front that's farther to the south there. But we've got rain spreading northward here over the panhandle during the day today, light rain up into the central panhandle with increasing clouds there to the north, and areas of rain also falling, kind of a trough in through here along the North Gulf Coast there, western Prince William Sound, but nothing too heavy. Light winds and mostly dry here over the Aleutians. And rolling that through again, not much out here, just some loose clouds here moving across the Bering Sea there. And on the chart, there is a weak low, didn't show up too well in the satellite imagery here. North of the eastern Aleutians, some areas of showers and light precipitation associated with that in the form of snow in the Pribilofs and rain and snow over toward Cape Newenham, with some scattered rain showers over the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula, even drier back out to the west with light winds. And northeast winds at Gamble gusting up to 45 miles an hour today, and dry and pretty nice here over the interior with some clouds as we saw in the satellite, and some light precipitation here for the western Prince William Sound area, southern Kenai Peninsula, mostly along the coast, and in toward Kamishak Bay. Port Moller picking up about 0.2 of an inch today. And dry for the North Gulf Coast, but rain spreading northward here with this front. And for tonight, that front kind of dissipates and pulls back to the west here and leaving some showers here over the southeast coast, scattered showers with most of the rain now pulling up to the north here as another band actually moves northward. The first one dissipates, this one redevelops and moves northward here. And that's going to increase some wind and rain across Kodiak Island as well as into the Gulf of Alaska tonight. And winds are on the increase here, especially after midnight here for St. Lawrence Island up to the western Arctic coast with high pressure developing over the north slope and along the Arctic coast. They're keeping it dry with light winds in that area. Dry conditions and mostly clear skies all the way down until you get in toward the northern Kuskokwim Valley and the Alaska Range and the eastern interior, but dry conditions there. Rain and snow for the Alaska Peninsula and Bristol Bay area up to about Togiak and Dillingham. Not much change over the southern Bering Sea here with scattered, isolated rain and snow showers, continued light winds. And then for tomorrow, those winds increasing here. Again, high wind warning out St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast of the western Alaska or western Arctic coastal areas from Point Lay southward there for increasing winds, and winds starting to pick up here through the passes of the western Brooks Range as well. And all areas actually of central and southern Alaska tomorrow, areas of gusty northeast winds with especially over the higher elevations. Rain and wind on the increase here with good gales, storm force winds in areas from Shelikof Strait up to the western North Gulf Coast areas, and rain along the coastal areas of the Panhandle, with that front remaining to the west there with most of the moisture pulling northwestward. And we'll see on Sunday Low pressure over here just north of the eastern Aleutians, a low south of Kodiak Island, another one developing and moving northeastward here toward the Queen Charlotte. So rain and wind all across the southeast coast, as well as the North Gulf Coast here, cutting off in the Coast Range, so dry over the Copper River Basin. Best chance of precipitation, Kenai Peninsula on the east and southern areas. Chance of moisture greatest over southern Cook Inlet. And backing it up a little bit here, those northeast winds there in the inlet, we got gale warnings out for the entire Cook Inlet area tomorrow, and then for southern Cook Inlet for the next day there, but gale warnings in Prince William Sound east of 40 knots in the forecast there. And also increasing winds now through the Brooks Range area, through the passes out of the northeast there, with a chance of snow over the eastern mountains up to the extreme eastern Arctic coast as this high kind of builds and strengthens a little over the north slope with falling pressures here farther to the south. And for the Bering Sea, again, kind of a weak low, at least by comparison here north of the eastern Aleutians, with most of the precipitation, the former rain or snow from about Atka over toward the eastern Aleutians up toward the Pribilos. Dry for the southwest coast with that northeast wind flow. And looking at lows for tonight, below zero north of the Alaska Range all the way up to the Arctic coast. Much milder to the south with increasing and thickening clouds as well as the winds. Moisture coming in with lows in the 20s, near 40 for Kodiak Island, and in the upper 30s, southern Kenai Peninsula, Yakutat, lower 40s for the southern southeast coast, and in the 30s out to the west there for the Aleutians. And then the highs for tomorrow, back above zero for the highs from the overnight lows there for the Tanana Valley, anywhere from 5 to maybe 15 degrees. And for south central Alaska, highs in the lower to mid 30s and maybe upper 30s in the windier areas of the Kenai Peninsula Cook Inlet area. Mid 40s down toward Homer and Seldovia to Kodiak Island. Upper 30s and near 40 for Bristol Bay. Lower 50s there for around Prince of Wales Island, Craig Klawak, actually up to Sitka with everywhere in the southeast coast at least reaching 40 degrees. And then for the following morning, not quite as cold here over the northeast interior, but still about 10 to 20 below. Same thing for the north slope, anywhere from 15 to 25 below there, with minus teens below zero for the Arctic coast. Mid to upper 20s to near 30 for south central Alaska. Well above freezing along the coast, though. As you can see, upper 30s Kodiak Island, in the 30s for the Alaska Peninsula, as well as the Aleutians. And lows lower to mid 30s in the northern Panhandle with lower 40s to the south, followed by highs in the 40s for the Panhandle, Kodiak Island, North Gulf Coast areas right along the immediate coast, 30s inland, and then teens here in the central interior, and below zero weather now from the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast. Highs in the 30s again for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians.